Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Marina, and today I'm in my sister's apartment in New York City, so that's why the background looks a little funky, or different, I should say. It's a cutie little apartment, but I thought I'd do a little vlog with you guys on what's been going on, do a little recap on the Encounter conference in New York with CL, and then I am going to a New York Fashion Week event tonight, more geared towards businesses. But I thought it would be a fun little video to just recap what I've been up to. So I thought it'd be kind of interesting. But yeah, so the CL conference called Encounter New York, it's run by CL, which I believe is Commune and Literation, and they are a Catholic organization. It's a global organization, and it's based out of Italy. I think it was founded in Italy, but they have like chapters, I think, all over the country. I haven't really been involved with them ever. I know people who have been. And this event my sister told me about, and I was like, yeah, why not? Let's go up to New York and check it out. It was free. There was like thousands of people there, Catholics, and it was kind of refreshing because I don't know, I feel like a lot of Catholic events, it's either like super spiritually enriching, like educational almost, I guess catechesis would be the proper term, and prayer focused, which is beautiful and awesome. But as someone who has been to like probably hundreds of those types of events over my lifetime, this was like a refreshing format. It was more sociological, like talking about stuff that's going on in the world and how it applies to us as Christians and how we should be looking at things as Christians. They had a lot of panels and brought in a lot of experts in different fields, really successful people who have a lot of interesting observations and insights into like pertinent hot topics that are going on in the world, and that I feel like it's important to talk about as Christians and how we should navigate and how we should I don't know, put effort into certain things or form our opinions about, especially engaging in conversation with people in our daily lives. So yeah, it was super good, and it kind of reminded me of being back in college, and I was like, oh, I miss college. I miss just like sitting and listening and learning, and kind of diving into like thinking about things. I feel like in my everyday life that's not common, and I feel like, you know, there aren't a lot of spaces where that's facilitated. So it was really refreshing. Although I like am not used to sitting and just listening to lectures for hours. So it was like a little bit exhausting. And yeah, I just wanted time to like also process. So I didn't go to every talk. I went to like a handful just to allow myself to absorb the information and to kind of reset and prepare for like the next talk. But they really had a loaded schedule, which is really great. They brought in people from Meta talking about AI, people from the New York Times who were writing columns about just religion, people who weren't Catholic. They had a videographer who works for HBO, and her dad is like a famous photographer, and she was talking about him. And they had some like really interesting, like my favorite topics were, yeah, the AI discussion was really interesting. And a lot of these conversations, like they had a panel of experts, and they would have a, you know, moderator, and they would ask questions and directly ask some of these experts to give their 2 cents on topics. So AI, for instance, there wasn't like a conclusion of like whether it's good or evil. I think it was more just, it's happening and we should be intentional about how we use it and be very thoughtful on how it's implemented, especially if you're like in the business world and you're trying to implement AI, and just like interesting tidbits about how studies show people are using AI to like replace relationships in their life. And when you think about it, like I kind of sometimes ask AI questions that like maybe I would ask a friend, but it's just easier, and you almost trust AI more than you trust people because it has such a wealth of knowledge, right? They give like a cases of how the implementation is like better for humanity. Like the guy at Meta was talking about how he works with the teams who review content before it is approved, and how they have to screen each video for, you know, inappropriate content, graphic content, violent content. And so there are like literally people, I didn't know this, who their whole job is to scan these videos all day long. So they're watching like hundreds of videos of like graphic content, violence. Like, imagine what that would do to you mentally. And he's like, AI is proving to be able to replace these people's jobs in a good way, because no one should have to do that job, but the job is necessary so that this stuff isn't going out to the masses. And he was also really encouraging in that he's very networked in Silicon Valley, right? All the big players who are implementing AI in a big way, and especially in technology that the masses use on the day-to-day. And he was saying that they're all very cognizant of the pitfalls of AI, and they're being very discerning in how they're implementing, and they're not just like going full speed without really thinking. He said they're being super careful and intentional about it. So that was encouraging to get the inside scoop on what's happening in Silicon Valley and all of that, and to know that there's like good people. Like, he's a Catholic. It seemed like it wasn't like explicit. He said I could Google him for sure, but there's like Catholics and virtuous people and leadership in these big, important and powerful places, and they're, you know, they have influence and they're being intentional. I think it's easy to assume, especially in today's day and age, that like all these big companies, they're like money hungry and don't care about people, and all they care about is the bottom line. But I don't think that's 100% true. It doesn't seem that way. There's some good people out there really making people stop and think and being very intentional and strategic with their influence. So encouraging and interesting. Yeah, AI is such a huge topic, and I dabble in it for my work, like dabble a little bit, ChatGPT, you know, that kind of thing. But it is amazing all the use cases. Like, you're talking about how the medical use AI could eventually replace like doctors and nurses, and how that would benefit more rural communities that don't have access to healthcare. And you know, you don't want to send people there, maybe because it's not a great place to live, but these people deserve care, and how AI could really, you know, make medical care super accessible, which is really an interesting thought. So it's not like objectively bad, and I think we all kind of knew that, and it is just a reality. It's going to be part of our future, so we have to just tread carefully but not be afraid to adapt it. And just be intentional with how we use things and use technology. Yeah, because nothing is like objectively, I mean, there are things that are objectively evil, but I think a lot of things can go either way, be used for good or for evil. And kind of going into that, there was also a talk about, is there like a boom for religion? I feel like I've seen some headlines and hear stuff online like, oh my gosh, so many people are coming back to faith. And this one talk was like about that and the statistics. And a lot of the statistics do show that Gen Z men are coming back to the church. And that is interesting, but they're seeing the data. It's hard to know if it's, you know, tainted or biased or accurate, but it is insightful in that, like, okay, maybe this is true, maybe it's not. But I think something that plays into that is social media, and they were talking about that, how there's a lot of creators and influencers who are really speaking out about their faith journey. And you know, it's easier now than ever to encounter people who are on a journey, who are asking questions, and people are documenting their conversion, and as they are seeking for truth. And I think that's really interesting, how that's on a global stage and so accessible. And I think really people are taking on that journey with them, maybe. And so it's kind of cool how social media, some people see it as objectively evil, is being used in a positive and influential way towards good. And with that talk, they had the girl from the New York Times. She has a column about belief. I think it's called Belief or Believing. And she's not religious, but she writes stories about people who are coming into faith and why they are coming into faith. And not just Christianity, like Islam, Judaism, like everything, but just like why people in general are interested in faith. And they were talking about, they had like this writer who I think is pretty involved in like the philosophy, like network and community, and why that's become more of a turn. And they're talking about like some basic like concepts of like people just want a story to like why they exist and why they're here. And I think faith always has provided that, and like a narrative that they can hold on to that gives their life meaning. And then in isolated age, like all of us are online, everything's instant gratification. Like you don't have to connect with people on the day-to-day anymore. Like you can work from home, you can get your food delivered, you don't have to go to the store. Like everything is kind of done virtually if you wanted to. And without isolation, I think people crave community because it isn't as integrated into their day-to-day life as it has been in history. And faith communities have always been a place of community and just feeling like you belong, like you all have that commonality of faith and belief. And the people are, I think, joining. They were saying a lot of people maybe are joining because of that element of just having community on a consistent basis, because it's so baked into like religious communities. So I thought that was super interesting as well. I really enjoyed that talk. Yeah, and then they had the videographer, movie producer who's worked for HBO. She's like old, she's like 70. But she was super awesome. She was talking about her dad, who was a photographer in the 1930s up through his whole career, and how he started by just taking photos of his life in New York and Manhattan in his youth. And such a phenomenal photographer, so beautiful. And I really connected with this talk because my grandpa actually grew up in Brooklyn in the 1930s, and he always would talk about his life. And I'd always visit my great aunt, who's his sister, in Brooklyn, and kind of see the area where their life took place in that time. And a lot of the photos were from there. So she had like a documentary she did of her dad, which is so sweet. And just like photos of the streets of New York during that time, and just the people and the emotions. And it was just so beautiful. And he was so talented. And I got to talk to her afterward, and she was just really awesome. And how her husband was a photographer during the war, World War II. So he was sent over in the front lines taking photos, which is also kind of wild that that's a thing. He wasn't like a journalist or anything. He was just taking photos. And then she said that he uprooted their family and they went to like Haiti for a while, and he took photos of the people there, and they were absolutely stunning. Like literally so talented. I feel like nowadays photography, everyone's a photographer, and the art is lost. And you can just seeing his photos and then, seeing stuff on my Instagram account and just like scrolling through is just the difference. It's just so artful and beautiful and very inspiring. That was super cool. I loved that. And then there was a talk on immigration. It's a big topic. It's an important topic. So I went, but it wasn't, I feel like there's so much to cover and there was so little time for the talk that it really didn't go very deep, but it was very interesting. Oh yeah, and then there was this other talk with the bishop of a major city in Russia. I forget the city he's from. And he was just talking about his life there and how it's still a war zone, and just the poverty and then just like the desperation of people. He honestly gave me like saint vibes. Like he just seemed so humble and just like he was doing like the work of a regular priest, even though he's the bishop, like saying funerals, getting to people when they're living in basements without heat, and like doing a funeral mass for just a few people. And it just sounds like it's horrible over there. And I just didn't have really any concept of the reality. So it was really insightful and just a great reminder, and a good reality check of like, I'm super blessed. I might be in between jobs and don't know where my life is going, but you know what? I have heat, I have a home, I have money in the bank, I have food, I have people that love me, and a sense of security. Like I'm not fearing for my life, and I can practice my faith freely. Like there's so many privileges that I just take for granted. So that was like very eye-opening, and just could just tell he was like a holy guy. And I was like, wow, you could just leave if you wanted to, but you're deciding to stay. And yeah, it's just intense over there. So that was super interesting as well. But yeah, I have to get lunch together and like get my outfit together. I found out about this event last night. That's tonight. Yeah, so I'm kind of scrambling to put an outfit together based off of what I packed. I didn't know I was going to be doing this. I honestly didn't even know it was New York Fashion Week. I just came up for this conference, and yeah, kept catching the tail end of New York Fashion Week. So that'll be fun. I will continue this vlog after the event and talk to you guys about it. I have low expectations, but I think it'll be good networking for work and just getting more information about the industry. So that'll be fun. But yeah, I appreciate you guys being here, and we'll talk soon. yesterday. Yesterday was a travel day, just getting home, and I actually had a job interview, which is exciting. Yeah, busy day. I was on the Amtrak. I took the Amtrak from New York to Philly, or yeah, the burbs, which was super easy. My first time doing that, so that was really nice. But yeah, it was a whirlwind. I went to that fashion event, which ended up being super cool. I just found it on a whim, Googling Fashion Week events. I didn't know I was there during Fashion Week, and I realized it, and I was like, oh my gosh, I need to go to an event to network for job search and just stuff like that. So I found an event that was focused on DTC fashion business, and that's kind of literally my background. So I was like, this is perfect. I applied and I got accepted, and it was a free event. It was honestly awesome. They had, I want to say, 4 fashion like tech founders who are helping small fashion brands build their business, especially like online, direct to consumer. So that was really cool because that's my background, and a lot of what they were talking about was just hitting points that I have learned being in work, and it was just cool. And their different tools and like platforms that they have built are really interesting. So it was really cool to, like, I don't know, be with people in my industry. I feel like I haven't done a lot of events like that, so it was just refreshing and just nice to talk to like-minded people. I wouldn't say I made any connections that'll like lead to a job, but I feel like it's always good to just make connections, LinkedIn connections, and you never know where they'll lead. But yeah, just honestly really good conversation about the struggles of starting a fashion brand and like what to look out for. And I think there were some people there who were starting brands who were super young and graduated from fashion school, so it was a kind of a cool event for them. I met a model from Fashion Week. She walked a few of the shows, so that was cool to talk to her. She flew from California. It was a really cool event, and I'm not gonna lie to you, I was like nervous to go because I haven't been, I don't know, to a networking event in a while where I don't know anyone. I personally like get social anxiety kind of when I go to events where I don't know anyone. I just feel awkward introducing myself to people, but it was like a good way to, like, I don't know, push myself and challenge myself. I feel like once I introduced myself to a few people, it was fine, but it's always just like a little awkward. I'm more of an introvert, so it does take a lot of energy, mental energy, but it was really good. I was proud of myself for going, and it's just so cool. Like, I was talking to a few people, and they're like, oh yeah, there's events like this all the time in New York. Like, you should check out the Shopify events. They have events every like month with a panel of like small business owners and stuff like that, which is really cool. And I just feel like New York is so unique in that there's just so many niches that are represented in such a diverse way, and there's just so much networking opportunity and industry connections to be made. That was really encouraging and cool, and it was just like on a random Tuesday, you know, like I feel like an event out here would be like once a year, get together with people in your industry. So that was really cool and encouraging, and kind of got me excited about the idea of being in New York and just networking with people in my field, and super awesome. Yeah, so that was really fun. And then Ash Wednesday, that's what it's called. Oh my gosh. And did that, and yeah, then came home essentially. Oh, and I had my job interview that morning, and I think that went well. Kind of well, you know, it's been a while since I've been in a job interview, in a few months, so this is my like first one in a while. And you never know what questions they're gonna ask, and it's the worst when you're kind of caught off guard and not prepared. So I tried my best. I do think I answered some things well, but you never know. This job really would like align with my background in reselling and marketing and like influencer management. So I'm hopeful. At the same time, you know, they're probably interviewing like 10 other candidates. So yes, we'll see. Try not to get too excited about it because, you know. Yeah, I will say, if you're looking for a job and you're Catholic, I did do the St. Joseph Novena, and I just feel like every time it comes through for me. And yeah, so I got the interview, and then I have another interview next week that lined up. So like back to back, I feel like the ball has started rolling. It's kind of like, I feel like dating, where you get one date and then like the momentum is like now you're getting asked out often, and sometimes there's like a lull, but once it starts, I feel like it just pulls other opportunities into your lap. So that's good. I'm starting to interview, which is great because I was in New York spending money. I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to like be a penny pincher and not have life experiences while I'm in between jobs, but I also don't want to run out of money. So I'm hoping in the next like 2 months I can learn something good. But yeah, it's exciting. New York is so stimulating. Being there, I was like, oh, this is gonna be an adjustment if I live here. Like, it's just so, there's nowhere that's quiet. And where I live right now, it's just so quiet. And I was like, oh, I kind of just miss home. But I do see the pros to being in New York for sure. There's just so much going on and everything's at your fingertips. And I feel like for a season it'll be good, but yeah, I was definitely like, oh, this will be an adjustment if I move here. And just figuring out the trains, I got lost and took a wrong train. Glad I didn't end up anywhere sketchy, because that would have been bad because it was at night, but you live and you learn. So I feel like it was good to just get the hang of, feel for the city more, network a little bit. But yeah, and the conference this weekend, it feels like I've lived so many lives within this last week. But yeah, overall it was really good. And I did get to the gym, if any of you are interested in that challenge with ChatGPT. So that was good. Overall, it was a great week. Definitely busy because I go to Miami tomorrow, which will be super fun, and maybe I'll document that as well. But I appreciate you all hanging out, and New York's a great spot to visit, to live. If any of you live in New York and you have advice, let me know in the comments. Or if you want to meet up, I'm on Instagram now, so you can just DM me. And maybe once I'm there, we can meet up, because I'm sure I'm going to be needing to make some friends, because I really don't know anyone besides my sister and her fiance. So that would be cool. But yeah, I appreciate you all being here. And until next time, I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.